welcome to our program. My name is Chris with Hillsborough County Public Library, and I'm joined this evening by Brianna. How are you, Brianna?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to get talking about our sea turtles here.
Yeah, this is going to be so cool. Now, this program is part of our summer reading, and the theme this year is Oceans of Possibilities. So, hey, there's a turtle on the screen right there, I think. So we're ready to go here. But I wanted to let you know, if you want to find out about what we have going on for summer reading, you can go to our landing page at hcplc.org/summer. You can find out about upcoming programs. We have reading challenges, prizes, all sorts of stuff. So go there, check it out. Don't go there now. Watch this program and then go. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to you, Brianna. Now, if you need me, I will be here. I'm just going to turn my mic and camera off, okay?
All right, perfect. Alrighty, thank you guys for joining us tonight. So today we're just going to be talking about Tampa Bay's nesting sea turtles. I'm sure you guys know that Florida is a very big area for sea turtles to come up on the beach and kind of nest there. There are 5 species that can be found here in Florida, and then 2 of them like to nest in other places in the world mostly, and then there are 3 that like to nest here. So I'm going to touch on all 5 tonight, but we're going to talk mostly about the 3 that are here. If you want to learn a little bit more, kind of investigate some more sea turtles on your own after the program, you can continue the experience with National Geographic Kids. You go onto our webpage, hcplc.org/kids, head over to National Geographic Kids, and then search sea turtles, and you'll find some other cool information if I didn't answer any of your questions here tonight. So these are the 5 sea turtles that we have here in Florida. I've kind of listed them mostly by who is here most, and then it goes into who you see least often. So we're going to start with the loggerhead sea turtle. It's the most common sea turtle species in the Tampa Bay area, and it's named because it's got a massive block-like head. It is a hard-shelled turtle, and they're among one of the larger types of sea turtles. The adults weigh average about 275 pounds and have a shell length of about 3 feet long. So they're pretty big. The carapace, which is the shell on the back, is the actual scientific name for the shell. It's usually a ruddy brown color on top, and then it's a creamy yellow color underneath on where their belly is. And it's very, very broad in front of the turtle, and then it kind of tapers around towards the end there. And they have flippers in front, and they each have 2 claws on the front of them, and they're sometimes called a slow swimmer, but they can swim for a long period of time because of their great stamina. So then we're going to move on to our green sea turtle. Now they're about 350 pounds average, and they have a smaller head for their body size. They're a little bit more oval shaped, and they average about 3.3 feet long shell length wise. They are olive brown in color, and they have darker streaks running through it, and then their lower shell on their belly is a little bit more yellow. They are also a hard shell type turtle. They're found during the day in shallow flats or seagrass meadows, and they go back every evening to scattered rock ledges, oyster bars, and coral reefs. That's where they sleep at night. Adult green sea turtles are unique in that they are largely vegetarian, and they mostly eat seagrasses and algae. The leatherback sea turtle is the next most common. Now, they are the biggest sea turtle, and they are so big so that they can dive a lot deeper, they travel a lot farther than other ones, and they tolerate a lot colder weather than other sea turtles. Most leatherbacks average about 6 feet long, and they weigh between 500 pounds and 1,500 pounds. But there's the largest recorded leatherback was 10 feet long, and it was almost 2,000 pounds. So that's pretty big for a sea turtle. If you guys at home want to get out your rulers or your measuring tapes, and you can kind of see in your living room how long that really is. That's a big sea turtle. Leatherbacks are very distinctly different looking than other sea turtles because they're the only sea turtles that are a soft-shelled sea turtle. So they look like they have more like a leathery skin than than the hard shells of the other turtles, or like the little freshwater turtles that you guys may have in aquariums in your home. Then the Kent's Ridley is the next one we're going to talk about. Now that's the tiniest sea turtles that we have in the world. It's also the rarest sea turtle we have in the world. It's the most endangered. It only has one major nesting beach, and it's over on the Gulf Coast of Mexico. But sometimes they'll make their way over here, which is why you see them sometimes in Florida, but very, very rarely. They are also a hard-shelled type turtle, and they average between 85 and 100 pounds, and they are about 2 feet long to 2.5 feet long, depending on the sea turtle that you see. The last one you'll see is the hawksbill. They weigh between 100 and 200 pounds, so around 150 pounds average. And they are about 2.5 feet long in shell length. They are also a hard-shelled turtle. They are the most tropical of the sea turtles, so you're going to find them in like lagoons and reefs, bays, and estuaries in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. They're frequently spotted with divers off the Florida Keys, way down south, off the end of Florida, but there are some nests that are documented in the Keys and Canaveral over on the other side of Florida. So sea turtles, they come up every 2 or 3 years. The females will come up and they go and they dig with their front fins, and they kind of do a swishing motion, and they will make a big hole. And once they make that hole, they'll lay about 800 to 120 eggs. And then after they've done laying all of them, they'll cover it all back up with sand and hide it, and then they'll go back out to sea. They don't sit on the nest like birds do. They don't do anything with the nest. They just come up, and most of the time they come up at night or in the evening and to lay all their eggs, because that way they'll be able to hide their nest better. And then they'll just go off and they'll leave the nest to sit there for about 2 months before the baby sea turtles hatch. Baby sea turtles are called hatchlings, and so when it's time for them to all hatch and go back out into the ocean, they'll hatch and they'll stay in the nest and they'll stay under that sand. And then when everybody's all hatched, they'll come out at night and they head for the sea, and they'll go right out to the ocean. That first trek across the beach there to get to the ocean imprints their home, which means that they'll remember it forever. And then once they're all grown up, they'll come back to that same beach to lay their nests for more sea turtles to come. And that is called their natal beach. So if you're ever on the beach and you're just walking with your family and you see these things that they almost look like tire tracks. Now each different sea turtle has a different tire track looking walk, and it's because once they're up on the beach, they're so heavy that they can't lift themselves up, and their fins are not long like our legs are. So they kind of have to scoot themselves up on the beach. So that spot in the middle that looks kind of flat, that's where their belly is rubbing. And then on the outside with all of the track looking things, that's where they're scooting with their fins, and they're kind of moving slowly up the beach, which is another reason why they come in at night. So this one is what the loggerhead sea turtles looks like. This one is what a green sea turtle looks like. To me, it looks a little bit more like tire tracks. So sometimes they kind of camouflage that way too. And then this is the leatherback one, which is the biggest one. So they have way bigger spots. So it may look like a big ATV or something going along the ocean, but it's actually a sea turtle. So there are a couple of things we can do to help protect all of these sea turtles so that they have a beach to come to and so that they're protected once they come up here. If we keep our beaches clean, then they'll have a lot of good places to nest, and they won't get stuck in the sand or anything, and they won't accidentally bring that trash out to the ocean, and the baby sea turtles won't get caught in all of that trash as well. And if you see any fishing line or anything, don't forget to have a grown-up help you pick up that fishing line or clean up the beach. Because fishing line, I don't know if you've seen fishing line, but it's kind of clear and it's kind of hard to see. And so baby sea turtles or any kind of animal on the beach might get all wrapped up in that, and that might hurt them. And so I know I do. When I go to the beach, I like to build a sandcastle, and dig big holes to kind of sit in and watch the water come in. So you guys can do that if you want to, but make sure before you leave to knock over your sandcastles or fill in any of those holes. If mama sea turtles come up onto the beach and there's a big hole that they don't see, they might fall in it. And they're not very good at getting out of holes like that. So we want to make sure that we fill in all of those holes to make it a nice safe spot for them to come up and dig their own special hole that they can get out of after they've laid their eggs. And then if you don't fill in other holes as well, you might accidentally, the baby sea turtles, as they're going back out to the ocean, they might get stuck, and we don't want that either. And we don't want to feed any sea turtles or any other wildlife, because then they won't be afraid of people and they might get hurt that way accidentally, just by being around lots of people if they're playing or anything like that. So we don't want to feed any sea turtles or wildlife. And then if you want to reduce the amount of plastic you bring, and if you bring anything to the beach, you want to make sure that you bring it back home with you. You don't want to leave any trash on the beach. And then another thing is if you want to turn off all the lights at night. So if you have any outside lights, if you're staying at a hotel on the beach or if you live on the beach, you want to keep those out at night through May to October, because they'll confuse the sea turtles because they look at the moonlight, and that kind of directs them as to which way is out to the ocean and which way is towards the beach. But if you have a light on your porch, they might get confused, and that's not good for them. So if you find an injured or stranded sea turtle, or there's a baby sea turtle, a hatchling, that's wandering around in a road or parking lot, or it's wandering in a direction that's not towards the water, or if you see someone messing with a nest or a turtle, you can call the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, or FWC for short, specifically the Division of Law Enforcement, and there's that number there on your screen from your parent's cell phone or from your cell phone, in order to let them know that that's happening, so they can go out and they can help that poor sea turtle get to where they need to be and get healthy if they need it.
That was great. So much to know about nesting sea turtles. Thank you for that, Brianna. That was really cool. Like she said, it's time to ask questions. So post your questions in the question section, or if you're watching on a tablet or a phone, just tap that question mark. And it looks like we do have some questions coming in here. Someone wants to know, how do you know hatchlings know the direction of the ocean when they hatch? I guess that's what they mean. How do they know this?
So most hatchlings will come out kind of at dusk or in the middle of the night, so that they can kind of be camouflaged, and they'll look at the light coming from the moon normally. So that'll lead them out to the ocean.
Wow.
So that's especially why you want to keep the lights that are on your porch off at night during nesting season, so that they don't get confused and go accidentally towards your house instead of the ocean.
Right. That is a good point. All right. Our next question is how many nests are laid in Florida yearly?
So it definitely depends on the year, but usually they make between 40,000 and 84,000 nests.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Is that a lot? That is a lot. Okay, it sounds like a lot. I don't know. All right, so someone's asking, do sea turtles nest in all beaches or specific beaches?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, there are a few beaches in different parts of the world that they will nest, but a specific species of sea turtles usually like specific beaches, which is why we have like a loggerhead coming back to Florida most often, as well as a green turtle and leatherbacks. One female sea turtle will only ever nest on one specific beach, and that's the beach where she was born.
Oh, interesting. So they return to their, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and that's what's called their natal beach, which is why it's important to keep your beaches clean so that if a mom or a female can come back to that same beach over and over again to make more babies.
Cool. Someone wants to know, do you know what the smallest sea turtle is in the world? Is there a type of sea turtle? I think you mentioned one earlier, but
Yeah, the Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. They are the rarest and they are the smallest. They're about 85 to 100 pounds on average, and then they're about 2 feet to 2.5 feet long, and that's the shell. So they're usually about probably around this big. They're pretty tiny.
yeah. How do turtles typically hatch around the time of a full moon?
No, not necessarily. It takes them about 2 months between when mama lays the eggs and when they hatch. It's usually around 60 to 66 days, depending on the species.
Okay. Next question is, do you have a favorite kind of sea turtle?
My favorite is probably the green sea turtle. That's the one that you see most common in like pictures and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one we see here on the slide here? What we're looking at, the question slide? Is that a green?
Yes. Yes, it actually is.
Cool. Let's see. What type of sea turtle is the easiest to see nesting?
It would depend on the beach. The one that you would see best here in Florida and specifically in Tampa Bay would probably be the loggerhead. Yeah, they're the most common that nest on this side of Florida. And they'll nest anywhere from, I think it's May to October is their specific nesting season.
All right. Good questions here. So what should I do if I see a sea turtle nesting?
So you definitely want to give mama sea turtle her space in order to make her nests. You don't really want to you don't want to use any lights, no flashlights. You don't want to use any flash photography or video equipment, anything like that, because the lights will confuse mama and distract her. You don't want to touch her. You don't want to go near her because if you frighten her or you confuse her or anything, then you may put those babies in danger. And we don't want to do that. And you may cause her to return to the ocean before completely covering her nest, camouflaging it, or even laying all of her eggs. So you're going to just want to stand back and be respectful of her space. You can watch, as long as you're not getting in her space or using lights or anything. It's a kind of a cool thing to see.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And you said definitely don't touch them because someone's asking, can we pet sea turtles? And I think no. Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure that I think it's illegal to pet a sea turtle in Florida.
They're protected. Yeah, you're right. I know that much. I've seen, you go to the beach during the nesting season, you see all those marked off areas. Speaking of marked off nests, speaking of nests, when do sea turtles nest?
So they'll nest between May and October, most of the species in Florida. Some of them will nest as early as, I think the earliest one is end of April, May, and then all the way to October. So that's usually when you'll see a lot of signs go up for nesting sea turtles and like light ordinances and things like that.
All right, do we have any more questions? Let's see. I think unless anyone has any other questions, we'll give you a little bit more time to type them in. But I think we've answered all the questions here. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Yeah, I think we did it. All right, well, no other questions are coming in, so I will take that as everyone is informed. And oh, wait, here comes, and I think you mentioned this, but they want to know what sea turtles eat.
Sea turtles, so there's one sea turtle that they're mostly vegetarians. That's a green sea turtle. They'll eat seagrasses and algae, but sea turtles will also eat things like sea jellies, which most people call jellyfish, which is why when they see a plastic bag floating in the ocean, sometimes they'll eat that by accident, which is not good.
Right.
But they'll eat sometimes smaller fish. Yeah, it's fish, sea jellies, sea algae, sea grasses. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
It's a variety there. That's a good point about the plastic bags, though, because yeah, we don't want to litter anyway. But that, that's another reason not to do it.
And a fun Saturday activity might be going out and cleaning the beach. I know that's what I do some Saturdays.
Yeah, a little waterway cleanup. That never hurts. That's a good point. Well, we got a couple more questions that just popped up. How small is a baby leatherback turtle when it's born? Do you know that?
Baby leatherback. So most of the babies, they're only going to be about this big. So they're kind of tiny. We don't really take any of the babies to fully measure them right when they're born, because we want to make sure they get out to the ocean okay. But sometimes when a big storm comes through, they'll get washed back onto the shore, and then scientists will measure that, and they kind of have some data on that. I don't have any of that in front of me today, unfortunately, but I have seen some baby sea turtles, and they're only about this big. Well, so I'd say about 6 inches long, something like that, 4 or 5, 6.
And we have one last question here. Someone wants to know, do turtles sometimes hide behind rocks?
Yeah, so there are some turtles who will actually sleep in kind of rocky ledges so that they're protected when they're sleeping.
Okay. All right. Well, those were some great questions and great answers from Brianna. Thank you, everyone. And Brianna, thank you for that presentation. We've learned so much this evening about nesting sea turtles, and especially the ones in our area. So I'm excited to look at them in real life from a distance, of course, down the line. So it's very cool. All right. So I guess we can bring up our contact information slide and let people know. If you want to contact us at the library, you can call our number directly at 813-273-3652 or go online at hcplc.org/contact. And also, it's like I mentioned at the top, you can check out our summer reading page at hcplc.org/summer. You can find out about our reading challenges and lots of other fun stuff there. So I invite you to do that. And with that, I will say thank you everyone who joined us, and thank you again, Brianna, for that great presentation. I hope that you all have, it was awesome. Good job.
I love talking about my favorite animal.
Yeah, we can tell, you can, when someone's passionate, it comes through. So we really do appreciate it. All right, everyone, well, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye, everybody. Good night.